it's gonna look so good. Okay, you know when you start a project and then there's every single moment where you're like, this is gonna be terrible. Like everything that's gonna go on the wall is gonna look. You have this up moment where you're like, imagine like so many different collages on this wall. And found poetry. Yay! Yay!
Hello and welcome to Petal Projections, a community-driven show where we talk all things feminine artistry. I'm your host, Reem Rizk, and today I'm joined by Ivy Sarker.
Hi.
Hello, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Ivy. I'm in, I think, my 4th year at OCAD. I'm doing my best. I'm a writer, creator, video game writer, trying to be, yeah.
Awesome. So recently you finished up your independent study.
I did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It looks
a long
amazing.
time coming.
Long time
Yeah.
coming. Do you want to talk us through that journey?
Oh my god, okay. From the very beginning, or like?
From the very beginning.
Okay, so
When I was born.
When I was born, so March 10th, 2001,
I always knew I
11:39
wanted to do an
a.m.
independent study.
Exactly, like it's in my soul, something in my charts.
Yes.
Yeah. We're in Pulse, and we use the Blue Room, so the program's Blue Room, and like the wall is empty. Like
Yeah.
we're always like we're living there, so it's kind of hard to just have a blank kind of dull room to be in all the time. And me and Catherine are talking to each other, and we're kind of just like, oh, this wall would be nice if it had something, blah blah blah. And it was just kind of like, is it gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? Kind of thing. And I needed an independent study credit. Like I needed something. Like I didn't want to be here longer, so I wanted an independent study credit. So we talked it out, and she was so helpful. She was giving me like artist links that I could check out, or just like other things to inspire me. And we got to doing a mural of like writing based, so something about like the writers at OCAD. And I originally wanted to find a piece that talked about the life of writing. So we went through a lot of books like Madness, Rack and Honey, just like any of those books that talked about like being a writer. So Joan Didion, anything that we could grab our hands to. But I wanted to find a South Asian author that I could kind of connect with, because like I wanted a little bit of me on there as well. But then I just wasn't finding the thing I wanted. And then I found Brian Doyle's Joyas Voladoras, and he wrote it because his kid had a heart condition, and he was talking about like the importance of life, and just like the tiniest thing being so like infinite at the same time. And I kind of took that and I took it into like a writing perspective, because as writers we influence people, right? Like your writing, it like shapes the way people look at things, and that is so important. That is so infinite. But like we as human beings are so small, right? Like it's infinitesimal how like tiny we are, but also like I know how people are like, we're just stardust, we don't matter. Yeah. But I think like
have you ever looked at the sky and thought how small we are
in
the grand
like,
scheme of things?
We don't even matter. Like I won on a poetic and like space loving kind of brain. Like I love that idea that we're not as important as we think, and we're not permanent. But also in the time where we are now, like you are affecting so many people around you on a daily basis just by being here. And I think as writers we have to kind of acknowledge it and like respect that. And I wrote this piece that that I tried to encompass it, and my idea wasn't even to write a piece in the first place. I was kind of like, maybe I'll just put Brian Doyle on the wall.
And just to be clear, Brian Doyle is not a South Asian woman?
No, Brian Doyle is a white man. R.I.P. Brian Doyle, we love him. He's gone now. But then Catherine was like, why don't you just write a piece?
Hello.
And I was like, I guess I could do that. So I did that. I went through a very quick editing phase. Like it was like a week, and I wrote it out. And I think if I had more time, I would have been more like hard on myself about what I was like putting on the wall for a long time, because I had like such a short time frame. I was like, whatever, this is good. Like I actually like it. And then we got to like collage and community contributions and Blackout. And I tried to have a lot of the program there, but the time frame was a little weird because it was summertime. But everyone who could come came, and then it was me and you. Me and you this summer, just like using collage to like help us get through it. And it was nice, and it was calming. Some days I was like, I can't collage anymore. Some days like collaging wasn't as fun. It was your Pompadour thing.
Right. Sometimes collaging was a break. Sometimes we needed a break from collaging.
Exactly. Yeah. So depending on the day, it was good or bad. And then when we finally got it done, it was, I think, I completely forgot about the dyeing process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One of my favorite parts.
Backtrack.
Okay, backtrack.
Yeah.
So when I got them printed out, like I measured the wall and I needed like a really big piece of paper.
Yeah.
So much so that like the printing services didn't have that big piece of paper, so we had to kind of like work around sizes. But I wanted it to look like an old loved book. Like you either found it at a thrift store or you've owned it forever since you were a kid, and it's just like something that you like love to look back on. So I tried everything. I tried coffee, I tried tea, vanilla, turmeric, saffron. That was one of my favorite processes because it was just me and like trays, like baking trays and bowls of just liquid on my living room.
Yeah.
And like I was using the clothes drying rack that we use for clothes to just kind of like put all the paper there.
Oh my gosh.
In
like
my
that,
house, like
you must have just felt like an alchemist. Like,
oh my god,
that's so fun.
It was so nice because
Yeah.
my house just like smelled so amazing. Like I got coffee from Red Rocket because my friend works there and like they give their grounds out afterwards. But it was too like ancient pirate map.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and that like wasn't the vibe.
Yeah.
So once I went through that, I did vanilla, which was like not like tinted enough, and then I finally got to black tea and vanilla mixing. But there was a lot of experimentation, like dipping, warm dip or hot dip. I was an alchemist. Like it was the best time of my life, I think. And when I finally got that beautiful shade. If you look at the wall, all of the pages are like a different shade, which makes it so much more organic. And then once they were all collaged, I got to lay them out on the floor and just like see what it would kind of look like on the wall.
Do like a bit of a puzzle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was like, you know the puzzles that you like move around, but you only have that one
like
one
the space open, so you have to like
move. Yeah. Exactly. It was like that because I was like rearranging everything, and it was supposed to be staggered, but then because of certain pieces that were kind of continuous, they had to be in a grid form. But then when I finally got to like wheat paste it, the first one was, I was kind of hyping myself up, and I was like, you know what? No, I have wheat paste, I have all the pages, I'm just gonna put something up in the middle. And I did, and then I got to work around it, and it was so fast. Like I did that faster than I thought I would. If I had like all the wheat paste I needed that first day that I started,
we would have.
I would have just stayed there and just like, you would have been collaging, I would have been just like wheat pasting the whole wall. Now we just have like detail stuff to go through, but it's like I'm really proud like just to see everyone who could come in and like contribute and like see different versions of collage and how somebody could interpret your own work. Yeah. Which is really like, I don't know, it feels exactly like how a writing program should be, so like community driven and so community involved. And I'm really glad that I could like put a little bit of input into a space that everyone is frequenting all the time.
Yeah. It was such like a vulnerable process, not just for you and like showing the work that you did, but it kind of got to a place where everybody was so familiar with the work that it was just there and we were all working with it. Like, how did that feel?
I've never had somebody like so like physical with my like, because when you write something and it's on your laptop, it's in your notebook, you share it with like your friends or your pets or like people that like, it's hard to make a piece and finally
you read it to your pets?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, no, my cats are my first readers.
Yes, okay.
And depending on like what kind of piece I'm writing, like I have 3 cats, as you know. So like the baby, he's like doesn't have a personality yet.
So they all have like diverse opinions.
Exactly.
And they'll give you different
like
feedback.
I don't read to the baby because he's just a child. Like he doesn't have a personality. So like he doesn't really do that yet. But when he's older, he will. But the other 2 like they'll get a reading, and they're my first readers.
I love that.
Like no one's gonna hear it until they hear it, and I see their facial expressions. And then it's you and Claire. Yeah.
We're in the second wave.
Exactly. After my cats, always.
Yeah. And I get it. Yeah.
And it's like, no one's ever been like that physical with my piece, you know, like actively touching it, actively working on it, like covering it, blackout, but like making changes to something that I worked hard on, but I'm not upset about it, you know? Like there was no emotional attachment to the changes because the changes were meant to be, essentially. But it was just a weird experience to kind of, I would say, like abandon it in this room. Yeah. Like put a bunch of them and like anybody can do whatever, and it's just there. It's nowhere safe, nowhere near me. And that was a really strange experience. And it was very different from like submitting your piece though, right? With submitting, it's like I know exactly where it's gonna go, who's gonna see it, why it's out there. But this one was kind of like 139 pieces of what?
Yeah. It's a different kind of detachment from your work. Yeah. That's awesome. So Ivy,
Reem.
what does 49 McCall mean to you?
Oh my god. The first time I did like a really stupid answer, but I'm gonna really like think about like the first time I wasn't being serious, but I'm probably not gonna be serious this time around either. You know that picture of the penguins of Madagascar? But they're like leaning over the camera, so they're like looking around, and then they're like, boys, I think we girl boss too hard. That's what
I don't remember that line from the Madagascar, but like sure.
They didn't say it, but Tumblr did. Tumblr did.
Okay.
And that's what it feels like that all the time. It's just, I love that room, but every single time I go there, it's always because like I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Or I'm in the middle of being exhausted, and I'm like working, and it's a great work room. You know, it's a great place to work, and I know it's like small, but the people you need are always there for some reason. You know, like you go in there and like Claire's there, Reem's there, Miranda's there, everyone's there, and you're like, I can work.
Yeah.
And it's great. But it's just, yeah. And I always remember like times at Pulse, and I don't think, I'm glad that you said 49 McCall and not like the Blue Room.
Yeah.
You know, because that like hallway space is so important.
Yeah. You talked about Pulse a bit. What were Pulse meetings to you? And also, just give a quick intro of what Pulse is.
Pulse is OCAD's literary magazine. It originally started within the creative writing program. They're in a stage of kind of moving it towards the rest of the school. It's a very young literary magazine, but I'm very proud of the people who made it. It's poetry, fiction, nonfiction, whatever we can get. Yeah, we did our second year. Third year is coming up in winter semester. Yeah, it's a student-run program, and it's like we make it ground up. We start with nothing. We truly nothing. We start with nothing. We make things. We make our money, and then we have a beautiful magazine to come out of it. We came out with it with like the best product that we could probably imagine. Like we had a good product.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was wonderful, and our launch was amazing. Like the whole thing turned out so much better than any of us could have perceived because we were so kind of like in our moment, like so stressed about like the nearest step, and like you were stressed about like the whole thing at all times. So hopefully like that the mural and the kind of familiarity in the room kind of changes the confusion.
If we had a mural, I wouldn't have been stressed.
Exactly.
I'm so serious.
No, listen, there's a little picture of Trudeau kissing some guy that we collaged
It's Donald
together.
Trump.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, Trudeau and Donald Trump are kissing in like collage form on the wall.
Yeah.
As far as I go up there and I look at them and I'm like,
wow, we really can be united.
Yeah.
If Trudeau and Donald can get through it, we can get through it.
there is peace. If that's the word.
Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Petal Projections. If you want to see more of the creation process, check out our last episode. And if you want to hear more about Ivy's writing process and fanfiction habits, stay tuned for our next episode.
So, Ivy, what does 49 McCall mean to you?
I had to clear my throat, but it came out as a cough. 49 McCall. I remember I ended this for like a middle school thing, and I looked like an idiot on the camera. But like this time, I'm like 49 McCall means being late when I should be here at 12 o'clock, walking into a meeting at 1:30, but being productive, and then by the time our break comes, whether it comes at all, having a little smoke circle with my friends. That's literally, this place is where I get high. But like not in the building. Not,